What's up, everyone? Welcome out to the Game Time Grind. I'm going to be doing a Buckeyes recap for all of my Ohio State fans that follow me. If you guys want to join me on Twitter, if you want to join me on YouTube, if you want to join me on Facebook, join the discussion. Let's talk. Let's chat about it. I can see the comments, so make sure to leave any comments that you got. Let's have a discussion. I want to go through some of the things that I liked, some of the things that I didn't like, but we have Buckeye football back, ladies and gentlemen, and it is fun to see the Big Ten back in play. Now, it's still a weird season. I'm going to stand by that because we don't have everybody playing yet, and it's still going to continue to be weird for me. It's just a weird year, but I want to get a Buckeye recap. So all my Buckeyes fans that have joined me here, hey, leave some comments. Let's discuss this and see what we got going forward. Listen, we end up winning the game 52-17. Great job finishing the game out, in my opinion, after a somewhat sketchy first half, if you will. I mean, we found a way to win. That's kind of the name of the game in football, especially in a season that's as weird as this one, right? What I was sitting here thinking, though, like, guys, for all the Buckeyes fans that are out there, when it's 14-14 or when Nebraska scores first and they're like, what the heck is going on? Listen, we can't be freaking out every single time there's, like, an issue, all right? It's the first game of the year, starting in October, which is weird enough as it is. There's no fans in the stadium. Everyone else has been playing football for over a month. Michael, dude, let's talk about Steel Chambers here in just a second as well. But, like, this is a weird game. The defense was coming in with a different personnel, different coaching staff. We just lost, Young to the NFL. So we're, like, coming in, we're trying to find our identity, and we're playing a team that's coming in there, they ain't got nothing to lose. They have a lot of momentum going. Nebraska, guys, listen, they're not a terrible program. They're trying to find their identity as well, and they require a lot of eye discipline and just a lot of discipline overall. These guys, it's the first game of the year. There's not a lot of fan interaction going on, right? You don't have all the momentum from the fans, the adrenaline. It was going to be a little rough. I had anticipated that. So we're at halftime, and I'm looking at Twitter, and all these people just blowing up the feeds about how crappy they are playing. I'm like, listen, like, this is going to be the way that it is. Unfortunately, in this season, you don't have a lot of time to make adjustments. You've got to make them quick, which I have confidence in our coaching staff to be able to do, but you cannot lose a game this year because the Big Ten decided to put us in a bind and have us start later on in the season, right? Can't do that. What I did like, however, was the fact that we pushed through all that. We persevered, right? We bent, we didn't break. First things first, we're trying to find our running back, right? And that's a new thing. We're used to the Dobbins, the Clarettes. Like, we're used to these guys that are a little bit more shifty in the hole and then can explode out. Teague's not going to be that guy who's going to be shifty. He runs kind of straight up, and he's a power guy. It's a different style of running. But like Michael said right here, I loved the way that Steel Chambers looked. Now, obviously, the coaching staff has seen something in Chambers and the rest of the running backs throughout the offseason to want to put them in the game right ahead of him. But I wonder if they just kind of saw something here. Steel Chambers has more of the shifty agility, the ability to potentially get into the next level and get more than 2 yards a pop, right? We're going to be thriving more when we can get our run game going consistently, right? Because to the other side of things, we obviously saw that, Nebraska's not that big on the defensive line. I don't know what, Joel Klatt was talking about, how good their defensive line is. They're not that big. And they were getting to Fields and kind of rushing him if we didn't get open on the first throw, right? So we're going to need a little bit of time for our receiving core to get into open space because that's where we're dangerous. You open that up with the run game. I would love to see Chambers get a little bit more, get some more reps, especially next week going into Penn State, which is going to be super, super hard for us, guys. Penn State scares me a little bit because we don't have a ton of time to get ready for them, right? We don't have a ton of time to get ready for them. And last year, see, Nebraska they were fumbling the ball, kicking themselves in the foot, right? Like they weren't helping themselves out. Last year, that was us against Penn State, right? It's called football. That's what I tweeted out today. People that'll be like, well, Nebraska was like, they're the Ohio State haters. I have a ton of them around here. Ohio State's not that good. The score's not indicative of what actually happened in the game. Blah, 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 blah. Like, if it weren't for those 2 fumbles, the game's neck and neck throughout the entire time. And no, duh. That is football. That's football. You have to hold on to the ball. Oh, well, that's not Ohio State that forced the fumbles. Dude, you hold on to the ball. We grabbed the ball. Like, we fumbled it when Olave got freaking reamed, which should have been targeting, in my opinion, as Nebraska was out there headhunting all day long. I appreciate good, hard-hitting football. I'm not going to sit here and say, they're trash. I will not. I refuse to sit here and say they're a dirty team. They were out there playing hard football, and unfortunately, some guys get into the heat of the battle. Targeting's a stupid rule. I don't care. It sucks that, they hurt Olave. It sucks. It's a stupid rule, but, like, come on. Like, they got to let the guys play. That's part of the game, but that's just the state of football that we're in right now. But I refuse to say that they're a dirty team, but people saying that they were they just didn't hold on to the ball, like, for crying out loud. Like, oh, whoa. Hold on a second. One second. 1 second. Got to turn this off real quick. Trying to figure out why this is playing on my other computer. All of a sudden, as I'm like, there we go. Turn that off. Apologize for that, guys. That was crazy. It just started playing all of a sudden on my other computer. I don't know what was going on. So, anywho, so Jay, okay, I'll say it. Nebraska was coached to play that way. Their only chance. The deal is, they're underdogs. They're going to come out there and try to hit hard. I don't say that. They're a hard-hitting team, and if they got to take a couple shots, they got to take a couple shots. But there were a few of those targeting calls that I thought were bogus. We know that as Buckeyes fans. Come on now, like, we got to be 100% real. We know that as Buckeyes fans. The targeting rule is a tough one. There needs to be tiers to that. Now, we're here to talk about Buckeye football, what we liked, what we didn't like. We talked about Still Chambers. We'd love to see Chambers in there getting more reps at the running back position. We'd love to see, a little bit more consistency with the pass protection and the defensive line. Guys, we are going to have to figure something out on the defensive front. And even in the middle of the field, as you saw, what happens if you don't get – when you have a quarterback that does a little bit of a play action, they were eating up the middle of the field at the beginning of the game with their passes, right? The tight ends were just finding the middle hole, boom, and getting there because they were wide open. If you can't get anybody in there to get pressure on the quarterback, they're leaving their linebackers and their DBs out to dry. I think we can hold our own on the corners, but in the middle of the field, our linebacking core, as far as coverage, it's going to be tough. And without, like, a true pass rusher like we used to have, it's going to be really, really tough. So we go into Penn State. Obviously, it's not going to be the type of Penn State game that we're used to having, like the craziness of the crowd, but it's still a super important game. The reality of it is, guys, I'm going to share a secret with you guys as voters, right? I'm a Blitnikoff Award voter. Let me tell you a secret about this. If you didn't already know this, I don't know if you guys didn't know this, I'm sorry, but I'm going to just tell you, okay? Blitnikoff Award voter. There is nobody holding you accountable for your votes that you're putting in, right? You get the ballot and you just send it in. And you could technically never watch a game and just put your votes in, and that's who wins. They're bogus, right? The same thing goes in with these voters that are doing, the college football playoff polls. They'd like to say that they're watching all these games and they're seeing all these things, but they're not. They're going to look at scores. They're going to look at statistics at times because there's only a certain amount of hours in the day, and these guys aren't going to be watching every single snap of every single game. That's the reality of it, okay? That's what happens. It sucks, especially for, like, group of 5 schools like Boise State. I'm an alumni of Boise State, and they get the crap into the deal because people just don't see them. It might be a close game, and they'll be like, oh, well, they played them close, so they must not be as good as everyone thought. So Ohio State, just so you guys know, there's a lot of haters out there. The media is not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Here's the reality. That's the same with any team, though, for that matter. They've got to play consistent, and they don't have a lot of time. They have no room, actually, for adjustments this year. No room, because we started the season so late. We have to be firing on all cylinders going into Penn State. I anticipate a lot of coaching adjustments on the defensive front. These guys needed game reps. There's a huge difference in practicing and getting game reps. This was a good game to kind of get get your defensive discipline down. You had to have the defensive discipline down. They were getting, their eyes are going this direction, the other direction. It's a hard offense to play. You might say that Nebraska sucks. Guys, listen, Nebraska doesn't suck. They can't throw the ball, and they don't have the receiving core, but they're actually super good when it comes to, like, the read option. That's what their skill set is, and they get into a lot of misdirection. And you saw Ohio State was getting one step slow, and they were getting, they weren't getting on the edge. Like, Nebraska set the edge every single play. So this was a good opportunity for them to get some experience on the defensive front and at the linebacking position as well. And understanding, like, okay, what do we need to do to make the adjustments? I have full confidence in the coaching staff, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to make those adjustments. When we go into Penn State, we're gonna have to put up some points on them. And I love Justin Fields' play today. I thought he did fantastic. You know what I mean? He's not going to put up Haskins numbers. That's not what he's asked to do. but he was one of the most efficient games I've seen of him, right? I know they don't want him to run the ball as much, but I want to know what you guys think. Like, I'd like to see him run. I know we don't want to get him hurt, but there were a couple of times on those reads where I'm like, dude, if he pulls that ball, we're getting at least 7 to 10 yards on that play. Keep him honest. You can go down, you can slide, you can do whatever you want to do to protect yourself, and you might take a few licks here and there. But like you saw, when he can start like being a threat, like a true dual threat when it comes to that, then you're playing that same exact game that Nebraska was playing with us. You're playing with the other teams, except you actually have a quarterback who can throw and you have elite wide receivers across the board. Okay. That brings me to my point here. Well, first off, let's take a look at the comments. Megan on Facebook, defense was a problem today. And that's okay. That's expected in the first game of the season. Like I said, it's a weird year. Very, very weird year. We're backed up into October to have the first game. You're playing a weird offense, and you're playing in front of nobody. It's a super weird year. So I can imagine the players are just trying to adjust. Let's give it another week or two, but we don't really have time to make any changes. To make any, we can't have any mistakes against Penn State. We've got to come over there and we've got to handle them pretty well. We can't lose. That's the reality, guys. Can't lose game. You've got to move forward. But here's the deal. It bothers me when college football fans, especially haters of college football, come in here and they hate Ohio State and they'll start like, oh, well, Nebraska was da-da-da-da-da. The reason that I love Ryan Day is because he puts those people that don't watch the games and have no context behind what they're talking about, they'll come in there and, they'll see the score. Ryan Day wasn't going to stop. He wanted Miller to get his touchdown at the end of it, put up a 50-piece on him, because he knows there's going to be people that are coming in that didn't watch the game, right? They're going to look at the score. That's what I like about him, okay? They've got to continue to do that moving forward. They've got to continue to put their foot on the gas and move forward because they have no room for that crap. Like they can't leave it up. It's like when in boxing, you can't leave it to the judges. Same concept. Now listen, Clemson, for example, this is what I was going to get back to for the haters. If y'all are with me on this, please let me know. Clemson, yeah, and Chauncey, the game's over, man. 52-17, Ohio State, brother. So Clemson comes in here. They were struggling a little bit. They had a couple of mishaps. Let Syracuse hang around with them, and then blew out the team, right? But the voters are just going to look at that. They give them the benefit of the doubt. They always give Clemson the benefit of the doubt. Oh, well, they're number one team in the country, so, they just blew them out. No, Syracuse kept it close for a while. No team is perfect. So Ohio State fans alike, just make sure you remember this. While we think we have to be perfect, we're not going to be. There's a lot of learning steps here. My goal is hey, let's get the wins and let's try to put up more points and let's make in-game adjustments and play chess, not checkers, against these teams. And if we can somehow make it through the season without any COVID issues, knock on wood, right? Because the chances of us actually getting through the year is going to be really tough. But if we can get all the way through the year, get better every single week, which sounds cliche, but let's get better every single week. By the time we get to the playoff, and if we happen to make it in there, then let's go. Then at that point, hopefully we've been polished enough to be able to hold our own. We've got enough experience in the positions that we need it to be able to hold us off and continue to move forward. But we're not going to be perfect. So when a team's that you would think is not going to be putting up points, they actually get a couple. They're moving the ball on us, guys. Relax. It's football. It's 4 quarters. There's adjustments that need to be made. Don't be sitting there, trashing the team at halftime because Nebraska, who has a running quarterback and all they do is read options, is moving the ball. That's bound to happen from time to time. Even Clemson struggled with Syracuse today. Other teams struggle all around. Georgia, Alabama's having hard times on defense. It's tough. It's college football, and the athletes that they're playing are bigger, stronger, faster every single year. You just got to get used to it. Give them the whole season, week by week. No, but they're never going to have a perfect week. We expect so much of this team because of the talent they have, but just be patient because Ohio State showed us a lot today. Yes, defense struggled. Yes, offensive pass protection struggled. Yes, we had some little mishaps here and there, but listen to this. 2 turnovers, one of which was returned back for a touchdown. Our receiving core, even the young guys, getting that foot down, tapping it for a touchdown. Unbelievable, guys. That was an unbelievable catch. Our running back position, we're trying to figure out what's there, but we got to see Chambers today and what he can do. And we started to see where the things were opening up, okay? We've got a lot of potential. We know exactly what we can do. Let's continue to improve upon that. I'm excited for Ohio State football. There's a different feel in the air when you get the Big Ten back and you start to see all the front-running teams in the SEC, Big 12, ACC, and the Big Ten. I wish the Pac-12 was going too. just so we could have them all. But I love the feeling when you get the front-running teams playing. So Sean said, anything Ohio State should be concerned about? What is it? Like I said, I mean, we've got a couple of things. Defense, the front line of defense has to be more disciplined. Pass protection on the offensive side of the ball, so Fields isn't running for his life every single time he snaps it. And, we've got to figure out a running game as well. And I think Fields needs to actually carry the ball a little bit more and try to protect himself. I understand it sucks. You don't want your quarterback out there to get hurt, but you gotta kind of give him something to think about every once in a while. Other than that, though, I mean, Fields almost played a flawless game. Amazing. I mean, it's nothing unexpected. The dude can sling the rock. Our receivers are getting open because they're in one-on-one pass coverages, and if you give them enough time to get in space, it's game over. That's the coolest thing about Ohio State's offense, guys. If you can fix just a few small things and get a true running game going, it's game over. Because if you get a true running game going, you freeze the linebackers, which allows the receiving core that we have, which have weapons all across the board, to get open in open space. They're in open space one-on-one coverages. Boom. Give Fields a second to sling it. He's got arm strength like you've never seen. Like, dude, his passes are legit, and these receivers are catching them. Give them the time to get open, because it's not just a catch for 5 yards. No, it's a catch for 20 to 25 yards, and they can move after the ball gets there because they're in open space. So we're this close. Like, it's awesome to see where they're at. Obviously, they're not going to be running on all cylinders like they were, at the very end of the season last year. Give them some time. Let's prepare for the next month and a half and see if we can make it all the way to the college football playoff. But we got to go 1 week at a time. Don't have a lot of time to figure it out before Penn State. Make some coaching adjustments. I'm excited to see where they're at. If we can get through Penn State, then it's go time. But we've got to make some adjustments and get ready. But I'm excited, guys. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. I love the people who have interacted already. If you want Chambers running it, I would like to pose a question right here for anybody who catches this either live or if they catch it at the end. Let me know who should be starting at running back, in your opinion, against Penn State next week. Overall thoughts there. So throw a comment in here, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, or if you're on YouTube. Make sure to throw a comment. Who should be starting at running back next week against Penn State? I'd like to hear it. Guys, if you want to catch my podcast, it's called The Game Time Guru. Jenkins. Shotzi, I love you, man. Hey, if you want to catch my podcast, it's called The Game Time Guru. You can catch it on any podcast platform. Right now, I'm doing my Ohio State recaps as we're building out our podcast network out of Ohio. Stay tuned for more on that with the crew from the Scarlet and Great Empire. Also, guys, listen, I interview people in the sports world every single week, and I've been doing it for almost 4 years. The Game Time Guru podcast. Go check it out on any podcast platform. You guys can subscribe to it and listen. It's sports figures from all across the globe talking about their sports lives and everything in that mix, everything that sports have taught them in their lives. I mean, I've had Jerry Stackhouse. I've had Randy Livingston, Walter Bond, Bruce Buffer from the UFC. Recently, just Russell Brunson from, he's the co-founder of ClickFunnels, but he was a D1 wrestler, talking about his experience. We talked about UFC 254. If you guys want to check out my podcast, do that. But every week, I'm planning on coming out here, chatting with you guys. We'll see you next time. Go Bucks.